War Sports back at it. Instant reaction video. Super Bowl just ended. They literally just handed out the trophies. They named the MVP. I switched it over to NFL Network to get a couple of extra interviews on when I was setting up here to film. But first thoughts, Dion, what do you got?
It went in a lot of ways the way I kind of thought it could go. Had my prediction come true, where I said they had the better defense and they had the run game. Two key elements in beating the Chiefs. You have to run the ball, and you have to run it a whole lot. You have to be effective with your runs, and and the defense keep everything in front of you, and basically you got to try to keep Mahomes off the field. And they did an excellent job. I mean, I was telling some people, hey, is this the blueprint? Which sounds easy, but not everybody's got the personnel to do what Tampa did. But if you go back to that game in Week 12, it's exactly what they did from the second quarter on, and this thing just carried on exactly that same way. And in my eyes, really, it was a lack of adjustment from Kansas City's part. I mean, we talked about it a little bit on the podcast the other night about how Cam brought it up, a Tampa guy. He brought up that they got to screen them. You got to try some screens and use their aggressiveness against them. And they didn't do that. I mean, I thought they were going to try to run the ball a little bit. That felt like Kansas City was effective running the ball a few times. Hilaire was had some decent runs and stuff. And it's just not what they do, though. That's not what they do. That's not what they got one of the best players in the world, right? So they want to throw the ball and leave it in his hands. And I understand that. But at some point, you got to swallow your pride and say, you know what, this is the best way. This is going to be what we need to do. Obviously, our own recipe wasn't working from the second quarter on. After they adjusted, we were having problems figuring out that defense. So, yeah, it's like I said, the score wasn't – I thought Kansas City – if you would have told me Kansas City wasn't going to score a touchdown, I think you're lying. So, but
I got to agree. I mean, I think that there are two things that I really noticed, that we kind of touched on earlier was the lack of the tackles were both hurt. Fisher and the right tackle was also out for this game. So there was a lack of protection up there from Mahomes. So anything beyond maybe a 3 or 5 step drop just really never materialized down the field. There was nothing really on the outside, right? I mean, everything on the outside edges was forced inside, and it took too much time to even develop. So I don't know how many times I must have heard Shaq Barrett's name about 40 times tonight. Anything second and long, third and long, in the backfield, getting a sack, getting a hurry. I mean, I don't know what the Madden control is for a quarterback to do that little circle pirouette thing, but Mahomes, man, he had that on mashing it every single time he went back. I never seen a quarterback spin so many times, honestly.
Right.
And it just they were in his grill. Yeah, just in his grill. And one thing we touched on last is Cam did bring it up about the screen game and whatnot. There was a couple of little tiny inside screens that Tyreek Hill got loose on. Kelsey got a lot of yards in the middle of the field, but they were going to play that bend, don't break long, keep you in front of us, and make us. We're going to be. If you beat us, it'll be because you beat us. It's not because we made a mistake. And
exactly.
It was just
and the thing is you're gonna hear a lot of people talking, and I've heard it. I've been looking on social media and stuff, and all I keep hearing is, "Oh, the fix is in. The refs gave this game." There was a lot of penalties on Kansas City that kept drives alive. Four that were first down penalties, and I get it. Some of those plays, some of them, there was a couple that I was like, but that's what Tampa is. They have weapons. They have All-Pro in Mike Evans. They have a former All-Pro in Antonio Brown. Pro Bowler, borderline All-Pro in Godwin. They have a former All-Pro in Gronkowski, and Cameron Brate's a Pro Bowler as well. So it's like, you just, what do you do with them? I mean, that's what they were made for. They wanted all these weapons because they knew it's going to be hard to stop everybody. You can't.
No, and I think to go with what you said, I think that I would say we're pretty huge football fans, you and I. I mean, we kind of live and breathe 24/7 football, regardless of what time it is. We're always looking for football headlines, and our group of friends is pretty much the same way. But I can tell you that Tom Brady, Gronkowski, they're veterans. They've won before. They won together. On the other side of the ball too, Shaq Barrett, he won in Denver. He has a little bit of a pedigree coming here playing next to Von Miller. Levante David, he's been around for a minute. He's an all-pro linebacker. They just have veteran leadership on that team.
Pierre-Paul.
Yeah, Pierre-Paul, he's been in a couple of Super Bowls with the Giants, knew how to beat Brady, and knew how much pressure can can get a quarterback off their mark, like we talked about in the last podcast, is just,
Hmm.
not those timing routes, not letting them develop.
Yep.
Get Priest home off their mark. I think our friend Dom was kind of like, "How are you going to do that? How are you?" It was. I think they knew how to do it, and they did it over and over and over again, and it was like on repeat. It was like,
Yeah, no,
take any of
absolutely.
those third down plays that were third and long, you could string them together. They all look the same almost.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, and like I said, going back to this, the penalty and stuff, it didn't change the game to me. You didn't get in the end zone, period. So you're not going to beat anybody kicking 3 field goals. I don't care, So like I said, I don't buy into none of that. Like I said, it's untimely stuff, yeah, but hey, it's football, and you just got to bounce back from that. And they have such an explosive offense that shouldn't even matter. But the fact that you couldn't get into the end zone, you scored 3 field goals, that was all your points. That's not going to get it done. And was Mahomes hurt? Was he? I don't know. His toe was messed up, but he looked like he was limping, like he had an ankle or something. I don't know if it was on one of the rushes, when he took off on the quarterback sneaks and stuff or what. But he just looked like he was hurting. He was hobbling a lot. And the one thing I will notice, and I will say, is that I noticed it early on, I hadn't seen that much frustration on Kansas City's faces. And so maybe all this win streak they've been on, you don't really face a whole lot of adversity, right? You're not dealing with the losses. Yeah, they find ways to win these games, and today they just couldn't find a way. And I could see so much frustration. Kelsey, Tyreek Hill was getting into it with somebody on the sidelines again. Mahomes every time telling down at the refs, what's going? I hadn't seen that. It was something totally new to me that I hadn't seen from them.
No, and Tyrann Mathieu, I mean, the Honey Badger, for all the
Yeah,
maturity, he's come a long way. I mean, I'll never bad talk the guy. I really have enjoyed watching his career come from that really immature kid coming out of LSU that could do everything, and
yeah,
then kind of turn it into a team leader, winning last year. Like I said, he's matured a lot, but tonight that frustration was boiling over, and he was yelling at
yeah,
coaches and teammates, and he probably just couldn't get that out of there fast enough. He just wanted to go on.
yeah,
Season's over.
yeah.
Vacation time. Let's get out of here.
Right. I mean,
Um,
guys like Chris Jones too. Hey, he had a penalty after Ryan
yeah.
Jensen. Everybody knows that's what Ryan Jensen does. He's gonna get with you, and you gotta just let him be. I mean, that was, just
Yeah, and I can't help but think that in a COVID affected year, in a COVID shortened kind of weeks leading up to the game, that some of that veteran leadership from Brady and Gronkowski and Shaq Barrett and Ndamukong Suh, maybe a little bit on that,
yeah,
those guys kind of said, you just buckle down, get it done. There I think there was a calming voice around there, and I think that's
right,
what Brady does, right? He brings in that calming voice of like, hey, do your job. Bringing
yep,
that philosophy over from Bill Belichick and the Patriot way, but putting his own twist on it, and connecting with those young guys and getting
yeah,
that defense pumped up and saying, we'll never be out of a game. If
right,
you keep it close, I'm going to do my
right.
job, and we'll get this done, and we'll get Bruce that Super Bowl trophy. We'll get the
Well,
Glazers.
and that's what you
Yeah,
want to do. You want to do that as a young guy, especially even the veteran guys. Though I mean, you got someone like Brady who is perfection. That's every attention to detail is perfection. The way he prepares, the way he goes about his business, everything. You don't want to be the one that's causing the train to fall off the tracks. So you're gonna. You couldn't help working with someone like that, saying, "Hey, I don't want to be the guy. The reason we lose. I don't want to be the one that messes this up. I want to be a part of this train." So he just
and
brings
the
so
other
much to
side
you.
too. We mentioned, the Reed family having to go through a lot of things that they've went through personally, and I don't want to give doubt and cast judgment on anybody. We went over that before, but I can't help but think that was affecting them,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
to whoever the other families were who were affected in that car accident. We hope that there is a quick recovery. We hope that things
Absolutely.
are fully recovered, and there is victims in this situation. You
Hmm.
know, however it plays out, I hope that it plays out in the best way possible for everybody affected, and we'll let the legal system deal with it. One thing I don't
Yeah.
like is seems to be a little bit, and this is not for today, but just a quick mention. There definitely seems to be a player bias as far as how the legal system plays out. If
Yeah.
that was a player that happened, I'm
Oh,
not sure
yeah.
that they even play in this game or they even travel with the team.
Absolutely.
Commissioners, exempt list, all kinds of other things are going to come up. I'm sure D. Smith and the Players Association and things are going to have those kind of talks, but it wasn't. I heard a statistic, and I'm not going to get this right, but it did stick in my brain about there seems to be some type of legal issue at almost every Super Bowl, for the last 10
Yeah.
Super Bowls, going back to Barrett Robbins and in
Yeah.
Oakland and, several other things, kind of, car
Yeah,
accidents or people getting arrested, or drug things, or whatever it is. There just seems to be something about Super Bowl week that
right.
something pops off that just shouldn't. It's not good headlines for anybody.
Right.
So
Absolutely. It's not good to have that coming into the game. It's just another added distraction, something else. And like you said, when you get into something like this, so close with, Andy Reid, how could you not? Like you said, I couldn't imagine, our kid or something like that going through something like that, and how you can be 100% focused when you got that going on. It's just a horrible situation, and like you said, hopefully everything works out okay in that, and it's, you know, everyone's okay and all that stuff. But man, it's like, holy cow, how do you focus, So um
now, real quick, we'll wrap up, man. It's the reaction show. Brady's MVP again for anybody out there. I'm pretty sure I said that, at the end of the show. Brady was going to be the MVP. I put my dark horse as Leonard Fournette. Dude was an X factor. I think you picked Gronkowski as MVP.
No, I picked Brady.
Oh, you picked Brady. Okay.
Yeah, because you went Fournette just.
I went Leonard. But it was one of those things where it's like, it could have been Fournette. It could have been Gronkowski. It could have. I mean, the guys that weren't there last year coming in and just putting their blueprint and their stamp on this one season. Even if it was one magical season, Brady was on the podium saying he's coming back. So we'll see who else is coming back next year. On the flip side, the Kansas City Chiefs are going to have to regroup. They're a talented team. Andy Reid probably going to come back next year, but who knows what's going to bring back the offseason. One thing we need to track coming after this podcast airs is officially, probably at midnight tonight, Eric Bieniemy's contract is up for the season.
He is. Yep.
Yeah, and if he's going to come back or not, and we'll see what he wants to do.
And my gut says, I did hear they were talking, how far they're going to talk. I don't know, but I would guess he's probably going to be back. But hey, it could be a situation where he's like, you know what, for whatever reason, I'm not getting that chance here to become a head coach. Maybe if I go somewhere else and succeed again, maybe that, I don't know. So he may decide it's better for him to try something else. But yeah, like you said, they're going to be back. We haven't seen the last of Mahomes, and they got so much talent on that team. But like I said, it baffled me, man. Like I said, I always said defense wins championships, but I didn't think they're going to shut down this dynamic offense. It's good. I said it all season. They didn't look right. Something wasn't right. And, this was just a mirror image of the second quarter of week 12 period.
No, end of story right there. I can't agree more with you. Let's end it right here. A quick note. You don't know this is coming, but way too early, super early Super Bowl pick for next year. Who you got? Two teams, AFC,
right.
NFC.
Okay, so I don't know. I mean, how do you bet against Brady coming back? Who's he going to lose? I mean, potentially Antonio Brown. I don't. You know what? I'm going to say it early. Say it right now. We're going to have a rematch. It's going to be on a neutral site. We're going to see if it's a little different. In a neutral site, we're going to see if things are a little bit different next time.
Okay, I can see that. I can see that happening. But for the sake of argument, I'm going to say. I'm going to say the bitter pill of defeat is going to be in Aaron Rodgers' gut. Yeah. And I think the Packers are going to come back. And you know what? Let's get new blood in there. Let's go Packers, Bills. We almost had it this year. Okay. I don't think the AFC East is going to get much better. Sadly, I'm not sure what it's going to look like, but the Bills going to be right back there. I think they're going to make one or two moves. And
be a fun game.
It'd be a fun game. So on the record right there, I'm sure it's going to change 10 or 20 or 15 or 100 more times between now and then, depending on all the free agent moves and everything else. But way too early Super Bowl picks on the record. We'll get it out there. Dion, man, have a good night.
Yes, sir.
We'll get it next week, man. We're going to try to get 2 episodes, maybe 3 episodes coming out this week. We're going to try to get on a couple of things for ourselves, Spotify, and we're going to try to get on Apple and podcast store, as well as Anchor and a couple other platforms coming up in the next week or 2.
Keep your eyes open on Facebook as well. We're going to be try to get live on Facebook this week too, get some exposure out there. So tell everybody about us.
All right, man. NFL season's over, man. It's kind of sad, bittersweet. Let's regroup. We're going to get ready for the draft and other things, but hey, man, have a good night, man. Happy season to you, Dion. Yes, man. We'll get together later, man.
All right, man.
Bye.